everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're moving to another aspect of JavaScript, and we shall be examining objects in JavaScript. So, what are JavaScript objects? We looked at functions, we looked at functions, expressions, and we looked at the differences between function declaration and function expression. We've looked at arrow function in the past lessons that we have done, and that is why we are starting another new topic in JavaScript, which is about objects in JavaScript. What are objects? What does objects do? How do objects operate? How do they work in JavaScript? Their usefulness and you know how they can be created, called, and then used in the context of your application or your code. And that is the topic of this particular lesson that we are in. An object is a variable that can hold many variables. Remember that when we started talking about JavaScript, we've been able to see different ways through which you can create variables using the available keywords that you can use alongside variable creation in JavaScript. And you notice that most of the JavaScript, most of the variable that we declare in the course of what we have done in the past is always maybe one line mostly. So if you need another variable, you switch to another line and make another variable. But object, on the other hand, is also a variable, but it can hold many variables, which means that you declare it like a variable, and then it can hold many other information aside from just one line or one piece of information. Objects are collections of key value pairs. So as we progress in this series, you will be seeing what key value pairs means in JavaScript, where each key, known as property name, has a value. So when you have a key and you assign a value to it, that is where the terms for key value pairs comes from. So that is basically saying, for example, let's say you have color and you have the value of that color to be red. So the color is the key and the red is the value assigned to that key. Objects can describe anything like houses, cars, people, animals, or any other subject. So in JavaScript, you use objects a lot because it's you as we continue in this program in this lesson, you will be able to see for yourself how objects allow you to be able to work with a lot of things in JavaScript. So it can describe anything. For example, like a house, a house can have a color, it can have a size, it can have so many things, it can have design concept and stuff like that. And the same thing is applicable to a car. A car can have a dimension, engine type, color, and a lot of things also like that. Also, people can have eyes, they can have color size, they can have a color type rather. Sorry, same thing for animal and so many other things like that that can be represented as an object. Now, look at an example here. This code assign many values. Viat 500 right to an object named car. So let's say you have an object named car, and for example, and for importance, take note of the fact that if you look at this one line, it is more like it is the normal way we use to declare variable, and that's why they say object is a variable that can hold many variables. You will see that we have the name for the object, we have the keyword for its declaration, and then on the right hand side with the assignment operator, we are able to assign value to it. Now, you can see this is car, a particular object, and then it has different variables. It has different key value pairs, which can also be likened to other variables assigned to this particular variable. You can see the type, you can see the model, you can see the color. So that is what is meant by an object is a variable that can hold many variables. You should declare objects with the const keyword, and you notice that here the declaration is done with const. When an object is declared with const, you cannot later reassign it to point to a different variable. It does not make the object unchangeable. You can still modify its properties and values. So, declaring objects with const does not mean that the values cannot be altered or the properties cannot change, but it will save you the cost of assigning it to a different variable. And that is why it is recommended to always declare it with a const keyword. And we move to how to create a JavaScript object. An object literally is a concise way to create an object. So you can see that here there's something like curly braces, opening curly braces and close curly braces. So an object has a list of key value pair inside curly braces. So The values that we have here, the key and the value, key value that we have here, are what is referred to as objects literal. Now, look at the name, an example, another example, first name, last name, age, high color. So this is like describing a person in one of the example that we've talked about. In object terms, the key value pairs are the object properties. So when we are talking about object, the key value pair are the object or they are the object property. And what does the key value pairs mean? It is these things that you can see inside the start and or open and close curly braces. So you see the value, key value, key value, key value. And this is what is referred to as key value pairs in object term. Space and line break are not important. An object interval can span multiple lines. So which means that you can span this over multiple lines by breaking it. So last name can come down, age can come down, eye color can come down, and it's zero. You can also create an empty object and add the properties later. So you can create an object as an empty object and then you can add the property later by using the new keyword. So you can access objects property in two ways, just like functions. You know, when you declare a function, you always have to invoke it or call it in one way or the other. So the same thing is what you can do for object. You can access object property in two ways. You can access it using the property name, and you can also access it with a bracket, as you can see here. So let me just quickly show us an example of how you can create an empty object and add property to it later. So this is my script here, and so I'm going to just make, I'll call it person, my object name. So let me just call it person and initialize it to an empty object, as you can see here. And then I can come down and start adding properties to it by using the name that I have given to, you know, the it's not full name, sorry, first name is what I want to use. First name equals to the, I'll set this to my name. And then I'll do person dot another thing. Let's say my last name. Yeah, I can use this. And then I can set age to 25. And then what other thing? Maybe eye color. My eye color is brown. Now, as you can see now, you can see that I declared an empty object in the first line, as you can see here. And then under that first line, where I'm assigning properties that can work with this. So now, as it is now, I can now decide to say, okay, I want to get this thing out. All these properties that I've assigned to this object. So I can do this. Oh, okay, I think my editor is already generating something for me. Now take a look at this person dot first name. So what I'm basically doing here, don't be surprised with any with this last line is not any magic. It's just instead of typing, I just use an autocomplete with init extension I've been using from the onset. So now you can see this that I'm getting my elements ID here. This is no big deal. This is the usual way we used to set an ID on an element and then extract it with JavaScript. And I'm setting an inner.html, the content that I want to see. And then so I'm picking this. So my person dot first name, which is my object name dot first name, as you can see here, then space person dot last name space is my age years old, and that is why you are sent to Adeyemi 25 years old. And if you look at it very well, you see Toby Adeyemi 25 and brown. The reason why you're not seeing brown is because I've not added it, and I can decide to add it here and say plus person dot r. Sorry, I think I'm missing something from here. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'll take this out. Just a second. Let me break it. I want to break this. And then I want to take all this out. Okay, I can see. I was supposed to add this at the back, which I didn't do. Now you can see Toby Adeyemi is 25 years old with bright eyes. So this is an example of how you can declare an empty object and assign property to it later. So I'll see you in the next lesson as we continue.